Saunders along with Terry Holland. Let's quickly look at the starting lineups. And a lot of coaches may have thought of trying to do what we're about to show you, and that's throw 6 players out on the court. But no, Delano Johnson will not be on the court at the start of the game. We highlight him because he almost immediately comes off the bench when they go to that 3-guard set, and he gets more minutes than a lot of the starters. Duke, of course, the #1 team in the nation, 11-0 this year. Grant Hill, just a sophomore, but one of the most electrifying players you will ever see on a college basketball court. Keep your eye on him today. There's a look at Christian Laettner as we're just about set for the opening tap. Ball is tapped by Rodney Odom and controlled by UNC Charlotte.
And of course, John, one of the things you want to do is get off to a good start, so it helps to have the ball on that first possession.
Odom will take the shot with the good moves in the lane. Can't get it to fall. Knocks it loose, but Bobby Hurley comes up with it. Laettner quickly double teams, so he dishes it off.
Well, you're going to see UNCC sag inside and try to take away Duke's inside game, and the only way they can do that is by helping out. They're a smaller basketball team, particularly when Johnson comes into the game.
Thomas Hill from outside hits a three-pointer.
That's the last thing that Jeff Mullins wanted to see, of course, is for Thomas Hill to hit the three-pointer, but he's been doing that regularly this year.
49ers on the run. Henry Williams is stripped by Thomas Hill. Ahead to Grant Hill. Leans in and gets the roll.
And of course, Duke not only creates turnovers, they convert turnovers. They finish them extremely well. Grant Hill, he'll have some spectacular plays today if they continue to come up with the turnovers.
Quickly they try and trap. They've got 2 seconds to get it across. Just barely beat it. James Terrell tries for the kiss, but it's no good. Early to Grant Hill.
That's spectacular, and that's the Grant Hill that we've all seen.
And immediately, Jeff Mullins is up off the bench, calling for the timeout as Duke starts the game with a 7-0 run. It's loud already in Cameron, and there's plenty more to come. The game is only 1:39 old, and Duke is on a 7-0 run, and Jeff Mullins quickly called the timeout. He was an All-American here at Duke. Of course, helped them go to the Final Four before becoming an NBA star. And Mike Krzyzewski, what a job he has done in his 12th season now. Finally got the elusive national championship last year, but 4 straight Final Fours, 5 of the last 6 years. Henry Williams is quickly trapped by Christian Laettner.
Well, the Duke's defense seems to be everywhere. It seems like they've got 6 men on the court, and of course it's awfully tough when you're playing on the road like this. You have to take a timeout with it still 38 minutes left in the game. He's only got 2 the rest of the game, and I know Jeff did not want to take that timeout.
Bobby Hurley will get a couple of players to look at today. Henry Williams right now, and then later Delano Johnson when he comes in. James Terrell hits a three-pointer.
He's an excellent three-point shooter, and again, they need that three-point shooting from both Terrell and Henry Williams. To beat Duke, you have to have players that can not only shoot the basketball from the perimeter, but can put the ball on the floor and attack the basket.
Laettner turns around over top of Odom, no good, but Thomas Hill is there to follow.
Well, if UNCC is going to let Laettner have the ball that easily, they cannot give up the second shot. In other words, playing behind him means you should be in good position to check out at every position.
Quickly, the shot is let go by Kenneth Wiley. That's a 3.
Well, those add up quickly, and all of a sudden, UNCC is back in this game, and certainly they've got to be breathing a little easier right now.
Laettner, and again, quickly double-teamed. A nice job on the defensive end by Charlotte, chasing the loose ball. It's going to still belong to Duke.
Well, again, when you double down like that, somebody has to check out that backside of the floor. And, of course, you saw Thomas Hill flying at the basket then, and he kept it alive, and Duke ended up with the possession.
Lob it into Laettner. Hurley into the lane, then right back out to Thomas Hill, who's short. Tries to follow his own miss, but Wiley is there for the rebound.
You saw how open Thomas Hill was on that because of Hurley's penetration. Again, that's something that I know UNCC is trying to take away, but it's awfully difficult. Hurley gets in the lane.
Now Dutton with a couple of nice moves and off the glass.
Malraux does not average a lot of points, John, but he has almost a third of his points in one game against South Florida, so he's capable of scoring big. He had 23 in that game.
Davis answers back. That's a two-pointer. Williams working on Bobby Hurley around him to the baseline. One-handed won't go. But Grant Hill comes away with a rebound as Dotton went flying to the floor.
Great check out by Grant Hill.
Again, they close in on Leitner. He pushes it back out. Davis can't convert. Terrell comes away with it.
Terrell got away with a push there, but you've got to do a little bit of everything when you're playing on the road like this.
Another three-pointer. Henry Williams knocks it down.
Well, those add up quickly, as I said before. That's 3 3-pointers for 9 points and a 2-pointer for 11, and we've got a tie game.
The crowd trying to get them back into it after opening with a 7-0 run. Now it has been UNC Charlotte 11-4. Rodney Odom leaning all over Christian Leitner. Thomas Hill into the lane and hits the jumper.
Thomas Hill is probably a player who doesn't get as much credit as he should. He's known as a defender, but he's developed into a fine offensive player as well.
Wiley in the corner with Davis on him. James Terrell up and in. They call him a trigger, and you know why. He likes to let it go whenever he gets a chance. He has 5.
He looks for the shot. He created that one with the dribble, and again, to beat Duke, you must be able to put the ball on the floor at a lot of different spots. UNCC's changing sides of the floor, getting good shots right now.
Get it into Thomas Hill. He is fouled. The shot won't drop.
That's where that size matchup becomes so critical. Duke has so many different players they can post up in there. And that time they decided to post up Grant Hill. He had a tremendous size advantage and took advantage of that. And when Johnson comes in, as he's doing now, they'll be even smaller and have more of those type of matchup problems.
Darryl Duvall comes in for UNC Charlotte, along with Delano Johnson. Antonio Lang off the bench now, the sophomore for Duke.
Shooting for Duke, number 12, Thomas Hill.
This is one of the places, Terry, where Duke gets a lot of their advantages at the free throw line.
They have scored twice as many points from the free throw line as their opponents this year, and that's really impressive. It means that they're aggressive, they're attacking the basket, they're forcing the other team into foul situations, and that's what you like to see as a coach.
Mike Krzyzewski yesterday was adamant about not sending Charlotte to the line because they are a good free throw shooting team as well, especially the guys who are handing the ball. 9 points for Thomas Hill.
As aggressively as Duke plays defensively, they do a good job of not fouling when people are shooting the basketball. They take their fouls away from the basket.
Marty Clark, number 3 for Duke, checks into the game. Delano Johnson working on Hurley. That's going to be an interesting matchup. James Terrell up and over Marty Clark.
Terrell shows that he can go inside with the big guys, and UNC Charlotte posting up someone other than Odom is a little unusual.
They keep Henry Williams on Bobby Hurley. Have Delano Johnson chasing Brian Davis. Hurley fakes, gets in a little closer and hits the jumper.
Well, that time Charlotte had 4 players in the lane except for the 1 player guarding the ball. And, of course, when you went for the fake, you allowed Hurley again to get into the lane. When he does, you're probably going to give up a basket or an offensive rebound for a basket.
Duvall with Leitner on him. Henry Williams open along the baseline. The quick help, but he still gets it off.
Ooh, that's impressive because Duke was ready for that. They rotated over, had people in position, and Williams just elevated over them.
Christian Leitner on the perimeter now, as he hasn't been able to get open inside. Antonio Lang draws the foul from Darryl Duvall.
This is a young man that you haven't seen much of this year. He's had some injury problems. Didn't get to play a lot as a freshman last year, but I think he's going to be a great player.
Fouls on number 4,
You can see the UNCC is playing behind in the post, even when it's not Christian Leitner down there. They're allowing the pass inside. When you do that, you're either going to have to help from the outside, or you're going to put yourself in foul situations, give up baskets, give up easy baskets.
Terry, you got to figure that this has been an extreme confidence builder for UNC Charlotte to be tied right now, especially the way the game started. And that, especially with the crowd, means a lot to Jeff Mullen's team.
It absolutely does. But to be honest, the games here tend to have this type of pattern. You know, Duke jumps off to an early lead. You come back as the visiting team and feel like you're in it. And then all of a sudden, early in the second half, they put you away. So watch for that.
Lang converts on the second to give Duke the 1-point lead. Jack Bawley is into the game for UNC Charlotte. It gives them another big body in the middle, but a little shallow on the offensive end. Pass to Duvall, turns around, it won't fall, and Lang has the rebound. Hurley on the wing to Clark. That's a three-pointer.
That's what he can do coming off the bench. Both coaches have done an excellent job of substituting. They've already gotten players into the game, getting their starters a little bit of a rest.
Terrell around. Clark is open on the baseline, short with the shot. And Cherokee Parks, the freshman from California, has the rebound. Bobby Hurley fouled on the floor by Henry Williams.
And again, Hurley putting the ball on the floor, attacking the basket, and he creates problems when he does that. Again, if you rotate to help out on him, that means the big guys are going to have a crack at the offensive rebound. So you really want to keep him on the perimeter, even though he's an excellent shooter from out there.
Third team foul for UNC Charlotte. Thomas Hill to Antonio Lang, cutting across the middle, can't get it. Marty Clark with a good job to keep it alive, and Hurley takes it to the goal, no good. And Jack Bawley has the rebound. Delano Johnson a little out of control. Travel.
You have to be aggressive against Duke, and it's hard to walk that fine line of moving the basketball and still being aggressive, but UNCC's done a nice job. Defense here doing a good job of stopping the penetration and making Delano Johnson give the ball up. And just a little bit of a rush as they recover back to him, and we get the travel.
Duke leads by 4, just under 12 minutes to go in the first half. Thomas Hill working on Delano Johnson, up and in. 11 for Thomas Hill. Henry Williams now around to Hurley, and he hits the baseline jumper.
UNCC's doing a good job of getting into that 12-foot area to get shots, John. They're not trying to take the ball to the basket, not trying to take it too deep and let the Duke big guys affect them. It's really good strategy. And you almost get the feeling that Duke is looking for Thomas Hill. Of course, he has 11 already. But their offense, he seems to be very involved and coming to reach to pick the basketball. I think it's because UNCC's helping off of him.
Try the lob in for Parks, but it was too high and off the glass. And Hurley's shot is short. Parks trying to keep it alive, but it will belong to the 49ers. 11:07 to go here in the first half. The home of the #1 team in the nation. They lead by 4. Welcome back to Cameron Indoor Stadium. John Saunders and Terry Holland. UNC Charlotte moved from the Sun Belt to the Metro Conference this year, and they're 2-0 in conference play. But look at their notable wins. They won a tournament by beating DePaul and Alabama on back-to-back nights. They were nationally ranked at the time, but that loss sticks out there. College of Charleston in their first game. How did that happen, Terry?
It does look weird. The only reason people haven't heard of the College of Charleston is because nobody will schedule them. They're a tough team to play. They play very similar to Princeton, well coached, and they're a team that can do that to you. So that's not unusual.
It was their first game of the year, and that is their only loss. Since then, they've reeled off 11 in a row. Doughton and Lang are battling underneath. The foul is called against UNC Charlotte.
Well, watch this stretch right here. You know, UNCC starting to get a little bit tired. Maybe Duke has gotten substitutes in. They've got the starters back on the floor. They're going to come after him pretty hard right here.
Charlotte has also been unable thus far really to get Odom into the game. They're big guy. He's working on Leitner there. Leitner leans over him, but it won't go.
Of course, the same thing has been true of Duke. They haven't been able to get Leitner involved in the game. And UNCC went right to Odom on that first possession, and I thought they were going to do that consistently, and we haven't seen him again since then.
Number 25, Cedric Broadhurst, in for the 49ers. He was the man the ball went off of as it was out of bounds. Thomas Hill trying to work on Johnson. Good job defensively. Leitner trying to go around Odom, off the glass hard and in.
When you've got a big guy that can move with the basketball like that, it does present problems because he just stretched the defense and then found an opening. Nice shot by Leitner.
His first 2 points of the game. Antonio Lang rather nearly comes up with a steal, and then afterwards, as he's trying to be aggressive defensively, he commits the foul.
Well, that was going to be 2 at the other end, and again, the thing is, when Duke creates a turnover, they quite often convert them at the other end. So a great job by UNCC to get the ball back. See the aggressive defense by Antonio Lang. He just stays after the ball. Doughton actually had possession. He just knocked it loose, and then of course the retrieve.
Duke's lead is 6 now. Henry Williams from long range.
I don't think Duke expected that. A very streaky shooter, but a guy who can really light it up. Had 19 in the first half here last year, and then Duke shut him down in the second half, only allowed 3.
And Coach Krzyzewski during practice yesterday was saying he will let them go from anywhere. Just be ready for it. And if he hits them, be ready, because he's going to let them go every time he gets his hands on the ball. Grant Hill back to Lang. He leans in. Can't get it to fall. Charlotte thought they had a charge, but no.
He was moving under. Good move by Duke. Now, of course, Mike Krzyzewski knows Henry Williams extremely well. He coached him in the World University games and kept him on that team. Really liked him as a player, and they practiced here at Duke Indoor Stadium at Cameron. And, of course, I think Henry Williams feels like this is his home court.
There's a look at Jarvis Lang, who would have been a very big part of this team. You see what he averaged as a freshman, 18 and 10, and hurt himself. He was undercut while going up for an alley-oop pass, and as he was jamming it down, he finished the game. It was against Long Beach State. Actually finished the game, had some problems on the free throw line. They x-rayed him the next day and revealed that he had broken his wrist, and it looks as though they will redshirt him for the rest of the season. He only appeared in 2 games.
How good is Jarvis Lang? Last year in his 3rd game, he played here in Cameron Indoor Stadium, and he had 30 points.
3rd game as a collegian, obviously not intimidating. 5-point lead for the Blue Devils. Cedric Broadhurst is trapped quickly by both Hills. James Terrell for 3.
Excellent job of spotting up at the 3-point line, and of course that'll get Duke out of the press. Duke is trapping at the full court level, something that they don't do a great deal of. Usually they play you head up man to man.
You break the press that easily, you're going to have an open shot and get the bonus with 3 as Grant Hill hangs in the paint.
He's just so smooth, John. He's going to be a great player, one of the future stars in the ACC.
Travel lifted the pivot foot as he tried to make the move. 4 turnovers now for the 49ers.
If Terrell can stand and shoot the basketball, he's tough. But if he has to put it on the floor, he gets in a little bit of a rush and gets the travel.
Look at the 3-point field goals. Charlotte has yet to miss. 5 of 5 from out there. Thomas Hill just avoids the steal from Broadhurst. Leitner working on Odom, leans between two players, gets fouled and counted.
Good job by the Duke offense to move the basketball. They were determined to get the ball to Leitner that time, and once Leitner got it, great patience and good hard work by him to get it in the goal. They change sides of the floor, then they finally get it to him, and Leitner knows the help is coming. He takes his time, he splits them, gets both of them up in the air. Great move.
Gets Mauro Dotton on his back. He'll go the chance for the three-point play.
How about Christian Leitner's career? He's shooting 58% from the field and over 80% from the line, and that's for his whole career here at Duke.
We have some of the retired numbers of some of the great players who have played here in the past, and I believe Christian Leitner will likely join them after his senior season here. Terrell stripped twice, but still comes up with it. Delano Johnson knocks down a three-pointer.
Well, UNCC was lucky to keep possession then. Terrell probably traveled again when Duke forced him to dribble, and that's what Duke forces you to do. They force you to put the ball on the floor at a lot of spots. They're increasing the defensive intensity here.
Tell you what, the 49ers have yet to miss a three-pointer, 6 of 6. They may as well let it fly with the bonus. Davis tries to answer back, but Wiley has the rebound. And Delano Johnson quickly on the break and to the glass. Won't fall. 49er basketball.
Good defense by Christian Leitner. Position, held position, and made Johnson miss the layup.
We have a good one here in Durham, North Carolina. UNC Charlotte down 4, about 8 to go. Welcome back, everyone, to Cameron Indoor Stadium. John Saunders along with Terry Holland in what has been a very good first half thus far. UNC Charlotte, number 18 in the nation, and sticking step for step with number 1, down by 4 right now. Wiley found a lane, but there was nothing at the end of it. Terrell, Davis blocks it. Grant Hill working on Wiley, bumps into him.
Good hustle by UNCC to get back. Now, Jeff Mullins has to be concerned at this stage because they're really not making Duke shoot the ball on the perimeter, which was their game plan. Duke's getting into the lane a lot, and while UNCC is 6 for 6 from three-point range, you've got to wonder if they can keep that up, and even at that, they're down by 4.
Lobbed into Leitner. He is fouled by Wiley, the only way to stop the goal.
Well, again, you know, they're not able to keep them out of the lane area. And, of course, Duke's working very hard to get the basketball in there. They're changing sides of the floor and then looking for Leitner. And if Leitner's not open, they move him out to get the big man out for UNCC and then post somebody else up.
Well, that time, UNC Charlotte did something that they hadn't been doing. They've been playing in the back of Leitner all game. That time they fronted him, and they gave him the lob over the top.
That's a good point, John. And maybe they are trying to change the way they're playing inside. But if you're going to front, you've got to get pressure on the basketball. You can't let that offensive play on the perimeter look inside because they will give up the lobs in.
Duke clearly with the edge and the points in the paint as Leitner looks for his 7th point of the game. Almost automatic from the line.
Now, you notice Duke didn't press after that free throw or the three-pointer the last time. Backed them off, and they're going to straight man-to-man. They're going to gear up, and Mike's saying to them, I want to see you guys play some real defense the way Duke normally plays defense.
Henry Williams quickly bumped by Grant Hill. No call, and Odom is free on the baseline. Tries for the bounce pass. It's kicked by Leitner, reset the shot clock.
If you notice Thomas Hill's position on Rodney Odom, he was playing on top of him, daring him to use the baseline, even though he was only about 8 feet away from the basket at the time.
Finally, they get it into Darryl Duvall. He's free on the baseline, tries to lean over Thomas Hill. He had a nice position down there.
Great help, and Duke does an excellent job of rotating to stop the penetration.
Hill is free, then works for an even more open shot at the top of the key. He has 13.
And again, that's a perfect example. If you're going to give the outside shot, then you can't try to block it. Give it to him, let him have it, and then check him out. If you jump up in the air to try to block the shot or bother it, Thomas Hill's going to beat you and create the penetration.
Odom lets one go from the top of the key, and it drops in. His first 2 of the game, though.
Yeah, and if he has to come out there to score, then I think it's going to be a long night for UNCC. I think Mike Krzyzewski felt pretty good seeing that shot go up, even though it went in. tough to score inside against Duke, even when you've got a great postman.
Leitner thinks about the three. Dishes off to Hurley, who drives into the lane and slashes for the goal.
And again, that was the one thing that Jeff Mullins was concerned about. All Duke's players, slash is the word you use. They're all slashers. They do really take the ball to the basket.
Nice help by Grant Hill, and rips it out of the hands of Rodney Odom to start the break. Davis can't handle it. Ball is out of bounds.
UNCC player was on the inline when he was touching the ball, so it'll be Duke's ball.
Back in for the 49ers, Cherokee Park and Antonio Lang into the Duke line.
Delano Johnson and Mallory Doughton back into the game.
Leitner can shoot the three-pointer. You saw him looking for it here, but watch Bobby Hurley. He's got his eyes on the basket. He never takes his eyes off the basket, even when he gets bumped and is going down. He's watching the ball go in.
Thomas Hill into Cherokee Parks, tries to catch, or rather Antonio Lang tries to find him, and he's cutting to the basket. He loses the handle on it.
Well, Leitner and Cherokee Parks in here together do create a problem for any team, in particular for UNCC.
Johnson spinning on Hurley. Odom working on Cherokee Parks to the baseline and hits the jumper.
That's a nice move. I didn't know if he could move with the basketball or not, and that's an excellent move. That looks like Christian Leitner.
Take a look at some more scores from around the country. Shot will not fall. Cherokee Parks will be whistled for the foul as he stripped it out of the hands of Delano Johnson.
Now that is what UNCC wants to see in Jeff Mullins. They'll encourage that shot from Cherokee Parks. Again, Hurley creates a penetration, but this time it's to Cherokee Parks instead of to Thomas Hill, one of their other three-point shooters.
Jack Boley back into the game to give UNC Charlotte a second big man in there, despite the fact Rodney Odom has not gotten into foul trouble. He's yet to pick up a foul, but just 4 points from the big man. Boley now. Traveled.
And again, he's a player that doesn't think offense. He did a great job of getting himself open to catch the basketball, but then he wasn't sure what he wanted to do with it. He was wide open for the layup. Now, what UNCC's done is they've tried to match the Twin Towers for Duke. They're playing both Boley and Rodney Odom at the same time to try to match up.
Delano Johnson and unstopped Bobby Hurley.
That was great defense. Delano Johnson played excellent position defense, and Bobby Hurley still scored.
Not much you can do about that. Williams just throws it up, and it goes off the glass and in.
That's a great shot, but again, I'd hate to have to count on beating Duke by making shots like that. You saw the Duke rotation to force the tough shot. Henry Williams is capable of making those shots, so he's an exciting player.
Leitner to Parks. Little jump hook. Gets a nice bounce, and it goes in. Straight ahead. Williams out of control. Still, Broadhurst dishes it off. By Antonio Lang. Rodney Odom.
Great job by UNCC staying with it. But one of the things that was impressive for Duke fans for the future, Parks scores the basket, comes down and draws the charge at the other end and stops the penetration. You've got to be impressed by that. UNCC, Joe, just stays after it until they finally get the foul.
Number 43, Rodney Odom.
Rodney Odom will go to the line and shoot two. 3:35 to go in the first half. Duke by 8.
2 shots.
Well, I'm impressed because the pace of the game hasn't been that frenetic, but with 3.5 left, Duke already has 42 points, right on schedule to score 100, and it doesn't seem like they're having any trouble doing it at all.
Looking to a sea of hands. Misses both. Leitner is open for the three, can't knock it down, and Delano Johnson comes away. He's got Williams on the wing, but looks for Odom, who misses the dunk. Then stolen by Thomas Hill. He's open for a jumper. What a turnaround.
That's a big 4-point swing, and that's a big basket for Duke. 10-point lead going to the free throw line. Boy, Odom really went strong, though. I like the way he took it to the basket.
Took it in hard, but missed the dunk. They hit the shot, and then the foul as well.
And Duke is an opportunity team. Thomas Hill always looking for the opportunity for the steal. It's up there for the taking. He knocks it loose and then stays after it. Doesn't let somebody else go get it. He goes and gets it himself. Takes the jumper, sticks it in the basket, gets fouled.
Thomas Hill averaging over 15 a game. Picks up his no basket. Someone was in the lane.
Official
Guess it had to be Leitner. I saw it too at the end.
Free throw was no good as Christian Leitner jumped in a little bit early, but Duke has stretched the lead to 10. Duke has been to the Final Four 4 straight times, 5 of the last 6 years, but one of the most memorable trips was in 1964 when this man, Jeff Mullins, led the squad, an All-American, later to be an All-Pro in the NBA with the Golden State Warriors. And he, of course, is in the Duke Hall of Fame, but now he's trying to beat his alma mater. Jeff Mullins.
He's done an excellent job with this program, John, and he was a great player. I had the unfortunate opportunity to guard him a couple of times when I was playing at Davidson. He was a tremendous player, a tremendous person, as well as an outstanding coach.
He's done a terrific job, and Henry Williams hits a three-pointer to get it back to 7.
Good two-man game coming out of the timeout, and that was a big call by Jeff Mullins out of the timeout.
UNC Charlotte now 7 of 7 from beyond the three-point arc. Leitner trying to back in, quickly double-teamed by Bally and Odom. And the ball will belong to the 49ers.
Good help inside. They got down there and stopped Leitner, and Christian Leitner is awfully tough to stop down there. It took 3 guys that time, and he couldn't find the open man.
Delano Johnson communicating with Henry Williams, trying to get his man open. Finds Broadhurst. Williams cutting in was open, but couldn't handle the pass.
And I'm sure Jeff Mullins told his team how important this last 3 minutes of the half was. They were down by 10 when that timeout occurred. They cut 3. And they'd like to get another deuce right here.
Shot clock is down under 10, and it forces the turnover. Hurley, though, the pass was ill-advised. He tried to whip it around one of the 49ers to Grant Hill, but he couldn't reach it.
Well, Duke had the numbers, 4 on 2, and they don't turn it over very much in that kind of situation, and particularly Bobby Hurley, who has one of the great turnover ratios in this country. The last 2 games, he's had 22 assists and only 4 turnovers. That's impressive.
He will become Duke's all-time assist leader. Started the game needing 46 to catch Tommy Amaker. Amaker now one of the assistant coaches for Mike Krzyzewski. Henry Williams is open for a 3. That was well beyond the three-point strike, but it doesn't catch anything. The crowd lets him have it.
Henry feels like maybe he got fouled by Thomas Hill, who recovered a little bit late to try to play that shot. But again, it didn't look like it affected the shot.
Hill into Leitner, who gets the roll, and he's fouled.
Excellent job out of the set that time by Duke. They were looking for him right away. One pass, looking inside. Leitner screens, and a good way to get yourself open is to set a screen. Again, Rodney Odom trying to straddle him that time, trying to half front him and half stay between him and the basket. Bally has to come over and help. He's there too late. Leitner with a three-point opportunity.
Seems like they were having more success, though, when they were staying behind Leitner.
Well, that's probably true because, you know, if you give him a lane to the basket, that means somebody else has got to rotate to stop in, and that's going to put the rest of Duke's players on the boards.
Converts the three-point play to get the lead back up to 10.
Terrell is coming out of the game. He's a player that we haven't heard from lately, John, and he was very effective in the early part of the game and helping UNCC get back into the game after they fell behind 7-0.
They're still all over Henry Williams for that air ball.
So is Thomas Hill.
He's one of the reasons it was an air ball. Wiley, that's a three that rattles in and out. Thomas Hill is open for a three-pointer. No good, and Bally has the strong rebound. Johnson with the move, a nice pass into Odom, who converts it.
Good patience inside by Rodney Odom. A lot of times you try to get that one up too quick and give the Duke players a chance to block it. He got himself on balance and elevated strong and put it in the basket.
Give him the credit for catching that one, too, because that was a bullet.
It really was, and of course there were a lot of Duke players trying to get a hand on it.
We're down under 30 seconds now to go in the first half. Mike Krzyzewski up talking to Christian Laettner and Bobby Hurley. Says here's what we want with the shot clock off. Finally, 49ers decide to come out.
Well, Duke's going to go to one of their sets here and again look for a quick hitter.
Grant Hill, no basket. Offensive.
Yep, they got the player control, did a good job of drawing the charge on Grant Hill, and that's a big play. He's awfully tough one-on-one, though. I mean, usually you give your point guard that opportunity with 4 players on the baseline. This time they're going with the big guy, Grant Hill, who is very, very good with the basketball. He takes it a little bit too deep. Great play by Rodney Odom.
Odom stepping in and drawing the foul, and with 4 seconds left, 49ers will not get a chance because Hurley steals and Laettner scores.
I was just getting ready to say right here, the one thing you don't want to do is give it back to him. You're probably not going to score with 4 seconds in the half.
A little bit of a mistake. As a result, a 10-point lead.
Great play by Bobby Hurley, anticipating good pressure on the ball by Christian Laettner. But Hurley just steps in the lane. You can see the UNCC player trying to head down the floor because he's only got 4 seconds to get it down there. Heads up play by Duke to take advantage.
Reminds you of Larry Bird to Dennis Johnson against the Pistons a few years back. Chris Fowler.
ESPN's NCAA basketball is brought to you by Volkswagen. Enjoy the unique European driving experience called Fahrvergnügen, only in a Volkswagen.
After an up-tempo 20 minutes, Duke has a 10-point lead. Bobby Hurley, the steal, the pass to Laettner. What could be a crippling play for Charlotte as far as momentum. We'll have to see how they respond in the second half. Busy day in college hoops. 23 top 25 teams, including 2 of the 5 Big 8 teams, getting together in Stillwater. Oklahoma State unleashing a great defense against Iowa State. And Byron Houston, the big guy, shows his range. Then Corey Williams gets it to Houston. Houston, up fake. Drives in the lane, lays it in. Oklahoma State by 16 at halftime. In the second half, Justice Thigpen drives down the lane, lays it in, draws the foul. He had 16 of his 20 in the second half. Wasn't enough. Byron Houston, the alley-oop slam. He had 17 in each half. And he goes over 2,000 points for his career as Oklahoma State rolls 85-67. Houston, the 4th player in Big 8 history to have 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. The others, Danny Manning, Doug Smith, and Wayman Tisdale. Pretty good club. Number 13, Missouri, taking on Nebraska in Lincoln. They have a 10-point lead with 4:11 to go in the ballgame. Number 9, Alabama. The loss to LSU at home. Now they lose to the arch-rival Auburn Tigers, 81-63. Wesley Person had 24 points. Reggie Gallen had 16. Number 10, Kentucky. No trouble with Eastern Kentucky, 85-55. John Pelfrey goes over 1,000 points for his career. He had 14, and Jamal Mashburn had 18 for Kentucky. No growing pains for Florida State in the ACC. They're tried for their 3rd road win in the conference today at Maryland, and they got it. Walt Williams picked from behind by Sam Cassell for the Seminoles. Tomahawk chop going in basketball season as well. Charlie Ward the steal. He lays it in. Maryland had some turnover troubles in the first half. Then Walt Williams tells Lenny Wirtz it's time for me to take over. And he buries a 3-pointer. Maryland ties it at 74 in the last couple of minutes. Final seconds. The jumper from Wayne Bristol misses. Evers Burns plays around with it for too long there. They can't get it in. We go to overtime. And then Sam Cassell puts in a little layup there, and Florida State has gone on the road and won 3 times in the conference. They are 3-2, 4 of the 5 on the road. They are really a force in the conference. Douglas Edwards had 22 points and 13 rebounds. Virginia clobbering Notre Dame. Notre Dame just one more game on that 9-game road trip. They are wearing out, obviously. Brian Stith had 19 points and 9 rebounds. And NC State on the road at Clemson beats the Tigers 78-75. Curtis Marshall had 15 points for NC State. Reminder, at midnight Eastern time, the third of 3 ball games, our midnight snack in the WAC. San Diego State against the UTEP Miners. More to come at halftime right after this. Continuing the scores now in the Big Ten. The Fab Five of Michigan finding out a little bit tougher when you get into conference play. They'd lost to Minnesota and Purdue. They went into Champaign to take on the Illini. And Chris Webber, one of the young guys, gets the ball down low. Nice ball fake, takes it up. Nice finish. Lou Helson's team trailed by as many as 12 points in the second half. They made a run. Deion Thomas beats Juwan Howard. Illini down 4. Then Tom Michael with the 3. Michigan up by only 1. Will they blow another lead? No. Jalen Rose drives, misses. Webber, offensive rebound in the final minute and the follow. He had 16 points, and Steve Fisher's team breaks the 2-game losing streak, wins in Champaign 68-61. Rose had 17 points. The Illini blowing a chance to tie the game down the stretch. Elsewhere in the Big Ten, Michigan State against a very young Minnesota team that has started to come on for Coach Clem Haskins. Check out the highlights from this one. Heathcote worried about this road game. He should have been. Second half, Sean Respert will step back and hit the 3. He had 13. Heathcote's team up by 4. Then Ernest Zigamazabo from the nation of Burundi puts the Gophers up by 1. Heathcote shutting down the starters, but Townsend Orr comes off the bench for the Gophers. Nails 1 3. Nails another 3. He was 5 for 5 from downtown. 4 of those in the second half. Heathcote furious down the stretch. The bench for Minnesota scores 39 points. They outscore the starters, and the Gophers have now won 3 straight in the conference. They win at 70-66. Georgetown guard Charles Harrison has left the school, dropped out of school, it was announced today. He will go to a junior college to strengthen his grade point average. Then he may return to Georgetown, John Thompson says. Harrison, the Hoyas' second leading scorer. They will miss him. They went in to play DePaul today. And 67-56, the Blue Demons have a lead with 2:55. Going to be tough going the rest of the way for the Hoyas without Harrison. Louisville, ranked number 25, got a pretty good ball game from Wyoming. They win at 68-60. They were down 10 points at halftime, though. Had to come back. They took the lead for good in the last 5 minutes. Greg Minor had 14 points and 5 rebounds for Louisville as they come back. All right, our halftime score, Duke, 49-39 over UNC Charlotte. Christian Laettner, the lean-in and the foul as the Duke Blue Devils march toward an undefeated season. Got our technical problem corrected down at Cameron Indoor Stadium, where Duke and UNC Charlotte are playing early in the second half. Let's go back now to John Saunders and Terry Holland at Cameron.
Foul is called on Duke's number 33, Grant Hill.
Thanks a lot, Chris Fowler. We lost our transmission momentarily, but we are back. Duke had a 10-point lead at halftime. It's now up to 12. Christian Laettner converting early to start the half.
2 shots.
Well, again, the Christian Laettner conversion just, again, emphasizes the fact that UNCC is not able to keep the ball out of the lane. Duke doing a great job of working hard to get it in there.
Now Rue Doughton going to the line and gets a taste of Duke's latest gimmick from the crowd.
Always come up with something new for the free throw shooter. And UNCC has not scored a free throw in this game. They only attempted 2 in the first half. They still haven't scored a free throw.
They missed both. They stay silent for a while, and then just as the ball's about to be released, the crowd in unison with the loud noise. Duke up 12. Grant Hill grabs a lob. Nice help by Wiley, who strips it away.
And that's what UNCC wants to do every time. They did it that time on Grant Hill. They haven't been able to do it enough on Christian Laettner.
Doughton to Odom on the baseline. Short jumper, no good. Tipped around, but Brian Davis comes away with it. But Doughton then strips him. And Davis may have gotten away with a foul. Slams on the other end.
Great look by Bobby Hurley. Duke turned the ball only 4 times in that first half, and none of them were on steals. And UNCC normally creates a great deal of steals themselves.
Duke with their largest lead of the game now, 14.
Look at the change in the defensive intensity here. The Duke players are definitely up in UNCC's face. The offense is a little farther out. They call a foul there, but it was going to be a turnover if they hadn't called a foul.
Williams up in the air looking for the pass, just whipped it into the first row. But Bobby Hurley got the foul. You look at the stats from the first half.
Well, again, the key to it is free throws for Duke. We know that they're a great free throw shooting team in terms of getting to the line and scoring more than their opponents. Again, turnovers. Duke has created the turnovers. UNCC shot extremely well from three-point range, but that's just to keep it within 10.
And the points in the paint, 31-6. Odom tries to change that a little, and finally Doughton is there to knock it in.
Not many offensive rebounds for UNCC, and of course they really stayed after that one until they came up with the basket. That's important to them. They only had one offensive rebound in the first half.
Hurley around the screen from Davis. Leitner now, Odom on his back as he was early in the first half.
Well, again, Duke's inside game is important here, John. But one of the things that I've noticed over the years about Mike Krzyzewski coach teams is that in the second half they maintain and increase their defensive intensity, whereas most teams tend to back off a little bit. Again, they're working very hard. Odom is playing behind, but they just don't get enough help down there. Christian Leitner gets turned so that it's one-on-one before the help can get there. You want that help man to get there, seal him, so that it's not a one-on-one situation for Christian Leitner. And that's at least three three-point plays that I can think of for Christian Leitner. They got the basket and the foul.
Breaking the pressure. Henry Williams waving his teammates around. Wiley to Mauru. Doughton is free underneath nicely. Leitner swats the first one. Up in the air again. Doughton comes up with it, falls, but he was pushed to the ground, they say, by Grant Hill.
UNCC working very hard there, and that time the Duke defense didn't collapse inside as much as it normally does when the penetration occurs. UNCC gets it inside. Leitner goes for the steal. He's looking. You see him look for the help. Where are you guys? And Duke normally seals those situations. They do a great job of collapsing inside when the penetration on either the dribble or the pass occurs.
Williams around Hurley. Leitner with the help. The circus move won't go. Ball still belongs to the 49ers.
Henry Williams does have some moves. He's got the ability to get the ball up there, and he looks like he's going to make a lot of those shots.
Antonio Lang comes in as Grant Hill gets a breather. Delano Johnson comes in for Jeff Mullins and the 49ers.
21, Kenneth Wiley.
Well, down by 15. Of course, they like to run a set play and get one of their players the kind of shot that they're used to taking. And Duke is going to say, we're not going to let you run a play.
Hurley right in the face of Johnson. Still gets the shot off. Nice follow by Mauru Doughton.
Well, that was great defense by Bobby Hurley, and Duke gave up the offensive rebound again. That's two of them in this half that have led the baskets for UNCC.
Wide open is Thomas Hill. He wants to get a little closer. Still hits the shot.
And his size advantage allows him, once he gets the ball in the lane, to go ahead and shoot the little jumper. So that wasn't a bad move, although he did have the three-pointer wide open.
Christian Leitner reaching in. He and Hurley were trying to trap. Want to remind everyone, the 1992 Australian Open live coverage begins tonight at 8:30 Eastern Time. Fourth round coverage from Melbourne, Australia. Odom turns it over. Brian Davis, and Terrell has to foul him.
Probably a good foul because it was 2-on-1. All he had to do was get it up on the glass, and I forget who was on the wing on the other side, but there was another Duke player there ready to stick it back if he did miss it.
Second team foul.
Well, that's the kind of defense that you normally see from Duke right about this stage. They've had a chance to look at what happened in the first half, decide what they're going to do to take it away from you in the second half, and they just keep turning the defensive intensity level up. Leitner is out of the game, getting the blow. Cherokee Park's in the game. They don't lose much when that happens. You've got Grant Hill out and Antonio Lang in as well. So they're resting their players as they continue to turn up the level of intensity here.
Davis knocks in the free throw. Get it to a 16-point lead. Crunch time early in the second half now for the 49ers, down by 17. Odom with a nice look to Williams.
That's a great pass.
And what a conversion.
You have to be impressed by Rodney Odom. It's tough to score against Duke's defense. He may not get a lot of points tonight, but he's done an excellent job.
Thomas Hill over top of Williams.
Duke doing a marvelous job of picking their spots, deciding who they're going to post up, and they're still putting the ball right in the lane.
Odom with Cherokee Parks on him. Henry Williams to the baseline. Quickly, he's double teamed there. Johnson thinks about it. Terrell lets go. It's long. Almost comes up with a rebound, but it's Bobby Hurley. He has Davis with him. Drops it for Cherokee Parks, but he wasn't looking for the pass. Doughton converts.
Good job by UNCC, even on that last possession when they missed the shot. They did a good job of moving the basketball, and they got a good open shot, and that's tough to do against a Duke team unless you're patient.
Thomas Hill thinks about going baseline. Henry Williams cuts it off, so he pulls it back out.
UNCC has 3 players in the lane now. They're going to really work to take away this inside game.
Stolen, but it comes right back to Thomas Hill. He's fouled. They count it.
And Rodney Odom's got to be thinking, what do I have to do? He does a great job, knocks the ball down, saves it in bounds. Thomas Hill, again, we talked about him being such an opportunist. He's always watching the basketball. He's not running back down the floor to play defense. He's watching to see where the basketball is. He comes up with it here when it's thrown back in. And when you throw it back in under your own basket, you've got to be very careful. I think Rodney Odom felt like they were in pretty good shape. But Thomas Hill, again, always looking for that opportunity.
Thomas Hill,
of course, known for his defense, but he's got 21 in this game, averaging just under 16 for the season.
He's worked hard at improving his shooting in every category, and he's now an excellent three-point shooter. He's a scorer now.
Johnson down the lane, loses the handle. Duke comes away with it. Thomas Hill.
Got the numbers. That's why you don't want to turn the ball over against Duke. The crowd back in the game. UNCC's got to take the timeout.
Official timeout.
Brian Davis opening it up for the Blue Devils. Welcome back to Cameron Indoor Stadium. John Saunders and Terry Holland. Terry, you're familiar with these runs that Duke has to start the second half.
Well, again, it's impressive because most teams starting to get a little tired defensively at this stage of the game. Duke definitely ups their intensity level. They're always looking for the steals, and again, when they get them, they convert them. A 19-point lead. I mean, you know, they just opened it up. They did the same thing to Georgia Tech. They did the same thing to NC State.
Of course, when you're shooting 100% in the second half, that might help a little.
But again, they haven't taken a shot outside of 8 feet. The drive by Thomas Hill into the lane.
Odom doing everything he can to get open, but he can't, and Marty Clark has the rebound. Boley with the push in the back of Cherokee Parks.
Well, you want to play him physically there and try to push him out a little bit, but you can't use your hands to do it. You've got to use your body.
That was a little bit obvious. His third, fourth on the team.
Duke does a great job on out-of-bounds plays. They're not just trying to get the ball in bounds normally. They're trying to score.
Parks dumps it off where Grant Hill loses the handle and turns it over.
UNCC has not panicked. They really haven't had turnovers that have led to baskets except for the one by Brian Davis a while ago. So you've got to be impressed, but it doesn't matter. They're still down by 19.
Cherokee Parks quickly off his man to help on Williams. He's out of control. Somehow finds Broadhurst as he's falling, and he scores.
Well, Williams is so aggressive. He does create opportunities, but he probably got hurt on that one.
Marty Clark finds nothing but air. Davis tries to fight his way in and draws the foul.
Now, Davis attacked so hard there, they ended up calling a foul. Of course, we saw Marty Clark in the first half bury that same shot.
15. Brian Davis for the Blue Devils will be shooting 2.
Davis goes to the line to shoot 2. 13:04 to go here in the game. Duke's lead is 17. Davis with his 7th point of the game.
Davis is an excellent free throw shooter for Duke, but he doesn't get to the line that much. He's one of the Duke players that doesn't seem to have the ball in his hands at the offensive end of the floor, except to pass it and create opportunities for other people. But I know that Mike Krzyzewski feels like he is a very important factor on this team. He's a senior, a great leader, a guy who gets his hands on the other guys and says, come on, let's go, guys, when things are going tough.
One of the co-captains along with Christian Leitner, the 2 seniors. Dumps it off and into Doughton. He misses the chippy, and then Parks blocks him from behind. That'll be jump ball.
That'll be UNCC's possession. That was good defense by Duke, but a great job by UNCC of just staying after it. Doughton made the good move to the basket, and once he got the lane to the basket, he didn't care. He missed the shot. He went and got it, tried to stick it in again. Duke tends to make a play on every pass, which puts them on the top side and gives a lane to the basket. Parks coming over, instead of trying to seal, which Duke players normally do, goes for the block, which allows Doughton to continue to be able to attack the basket and then rebound it. If he'd have sealed him, he'd have had him checked out after the first shot.
Antonio Lang back in as Brian Davis sits down. The turnaround by Odom is good.
I'm impressed by this young man. I know how hard it is to get the big guy involved in the game against Duke. He's doing a great job in spite of the fact that he's not in double figures yet.
Odom went to UCLA as a freshman, redshirted that year, then transferred to San Francisco. Cherokee Parks converts. Went there for 1 year in junior college before winding up in Jeff Mullen's program.
Well, Odom is trying to play differently on different possessions there, and he's just not getting the help from his teammates to be able to do it. He's playing in front, they're throwing the lob. If he plays behind, they throw it in, and they make a one-on-one move against him. He's got to have more help.
Williams trying to crash his way to the hole, loses the ball. As you look at some more scores, DePaul the winner, number 22 Georgetown, UCLA. They have that win at Arizona, now at home in the Pac-10. USC, George Raveling's team, having a pretty good year once again.
Yeah, they're really cranked up. They had the great win early against Ohio State, and it looks like they're playing well in the league now.
Doughton quickly trapped down there, and as a result, Leitner swats it away. Marty Clark is open, thinks about the 3, then backs it out.
He thought about the shot that he missed a while ago that didn't hit anything, John.
That's right.
Because normally he's got a great deal of confidence in his ability to shoot net.
Hurley pulls up just inside the 3-point arc, but it won't fall.
Got the numbers.
Terrell hits the shot.
And a good job by Terrell not to try to take the layup. Christian Leitner was there and was going to make it awful tough on him. Pulled up, took the little bank jumper.
Leitner finds Marty Clark this time. Let the 3-pointer go.
That looks more like the Marty Clark we've seen all year.
battle underneath Bawley and Parks, and Cherokee Parks would be whistled for the foul.
Fouls on Cherokee Parks, his second.
One of the things, obviously, that impresses you, and we'll talk about this when we come back, though, is the tremendous defense of the Duke Blue Devils. And that man, Mike Krzyzewski, is the man. Duke led by 10 at halftime. They've stretched that to 20 with just under 11 minutes to go. And UNC Charlotte, they hit their first 7 3-pointers, and they've missed their last 5. That tells the story right there, at least as far as why they haven't been able to keep it close.
We were saying earlier when they were 6 for 6 that they had to do that to be down by 4. And you see what happens when they're not able to do that. It's now 20. And again, Duke's defense doesn't let up.
Broadhurst looking for Odom, but just throws it over top of the big man and out of bounds.
Number 34, Henry Williams, returns to the lineup for UNC.
That quickly gets Broadhurst tripped to the line.
Well, they need Henry Williams on the floor because they need points. If you're Jeff Mullins in this situation, you really can't substitute a lot. You've got to try to keep your best players on the floor just to try to get it back under double figures, hopefully.
Leitner lobs it inside to Thomas Hill. Knocked out of bounds, still belongs to Duke.
Boy, Duke posts up everybody except Bobby Hurley. And you can see why they don't post up him, but they do. They move it around a lot, and it's very difficult to help out when they're posting that many different people.
Hurley in between 4 green jerseys, still lets the shot go. Grant Hill fighting for the rebound. Delano Johnson dumps it off to Henry Williams from the corner.
A few of those, and they can get back in it real quick. We remember when they were down early, all of a sudden 3 3-pointers. Those 9 points add up very quickly.
20 points for Henry Williams. Marty Clark moves in a little closer, leans, and gets the roll.
Nice job by Leitner. He waited. He asked for the help to come down. You could see him looking those guys off. Spotted Marty Clark on the opposite side of the floor. Clark, nice move for the basket.
Odom comes up with the rebound. Throws up a little jump hook.
Well, again, I continue to be very impressed with him. He battles in there. He's doing a nice job. Henry Williams, even when he takes a circus shot like that, he expects it to go in. He looked at it like, how did that miss?
Leitner trying to set a pick for Clark. Clark lets it go, but it's short. Terrell at the other end gets the roll off the glass.
Good opportunity off the long rebound there. UNCC takes advantage. They've cut it now to 15, and the crowd says, let's push it back up.
Grant Hill. Bobby Hurley is open for 3, but the shot is offline, and Odom has the rebound.
Grant Hill, the playmaker, playing the point guard that time, and Bobby Hurley down on the baseline.
Williams over Grant Hill. The foul is called as he releases the shot. He'll go to the line for 2.
I would guess that Mike Krzyzewski is not real comfortable with this right now. He feels like his team's probably not playing like they were playing, say, 2 or 3 minutes ago. UNCC has a chance to get it down to 13 here with the free throws. So he's going to put his starters back in the game. He's probably going to have a word or two with them before this is over as well.
Grant Hill with his 4th foul. We're here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. John Saunders along with Terry Holland, Davidson Athletic Director, former coach at Virginia. Another new look at the line.
They don't give you the same thing twice. No. They're sort of like the Duke offense. They don't post up the same guy twice down the floor.
They got the lean going to the right, and they change it to the left. But just the same, Williams manages to knock it down. Down to 13.
Thomas Hill was in the lane for about 8 seconds there, but he was at the top of the key. I don't think they notice it unless you're posting up. Leitner leaning, drops it off for Antonio Lang. can see that Malru Dotton is just not playing Antonio Lang on the perimeter at all. He's going to dare him to shoot the ball, and he's the man designated to help out inside.
Thomas Hill on the dish from Bobby Hurley.
And Dotton was looking at Leitner. He was helping out on Leitner, but he didn't help out on Hill.
Delano Johnson with the right hand off the glass, no good, and Thomas Hill comes away with it.
Again, you've got a big man who is very, very versatile, and when he can stop on the break like that, the semi-break, and stick the three-pointer, it's awfully tough to defend all those other guys.
He had a big smile on the way back down the floor as well. Terrell off the nice move along the baseline, converts it.
Really was. Duke did a good job of smothering the screen and roll, but Odom rolled to the basket, and the help from the backside of the floor was too late getting there.
Odom with 12 now after a slow start. Thomas Hill drops it into Lang, spins on Dotton, can't get it to fall, and then he's over the back trying for the rebound.
Yeah, not a powerful player, but really good footwork in there. Again, it looks like he just needs playing time to become an excellent player.
Number 21, Antonio Lang, is third.
That puts him at the free throw line with a chance to cut it to 14.
Cherokee Parks replaces Christian Leitner for the Blue Hawks.
Leitner gets a breather as Cherokee Parks comes back into the game for Antonio Lang. That was his third foul. Charlotte just 2 of 6 from the line. And again, we mentioned it earlier, Terry, how many more times Duke goes to the line than their opponents. They've been there 16. They've made 14 of 16. Charlotte's only been there 6 times and made 2.
Yeah, violation on Lang that time. Stepped in, so they'll get another crack at the 1-and-1. And the problem is sometimes you don't want another crack at it when you're not shooting the free throws well. UNCC only 2 of 6, and Henry Williams making both of those the last time at the line.
Gets the roll this time.
Well, I'm sure Mike Krzyzewski would like to have a little bit more of a lead. They ran it to 20. Now it's back down to 15. Again, with the possibility of going to 14. He's going to be watching this the next few minutes very carefully.
He was long with that, but the bounce back up and in. 80-66. The Blue Devils with the lead.
Duke basketball, and we've yet to do that, so that's what keeps pushing us harder to play even harder every game, and until we get that 40-minute game, we won't be satisfied.
They have 6:45 remaining, and Grant Hill looking for 40 minutes of Duke basketball. They may be close to it today, Terry.
Well, they're striving for perfection, and again, I don't think Mike's real happy with what's happening right now. He'd like to see his team pick it up a little more and play the kind of 40 minutes that they're looking for. They're looking at this as an NCAA tournament game. Here's a team that ranked 18th in the country, the kind of team that you'll see certainly in the NCAA tournament.
That's a 2-pointer for Brian Davis. His foot was on the line as he released it.
He just doesn't have quite three-point range. That's a couple of those today, and he's not a three-point shooter yet. He's close, though, maybe by the end of the year.
Back up about 6 inches, and he's got it. Terrell into Odom. Looked at Dotton. His shot was just tipped by Parks, and it won't go in.
That was good defense by Duke, but Rodney Odom almost put that in anyway. Again, he's playing well.
Antonio Lang lobs it in for Cherokee Parks. Odom got a hand on the ball, but Lang is there to follow and tip it home.
Good job of collapsing that time by UNCC. They had all 5 green shirts in the lane, but they didn't check out. You got to go find your man once you get off of him like that.
Wiley finds Odom. Back out to Wiley. Back to Odom. Parks reaching around for the foul.
And again, that's going to put UNCC back at the free throw line. So they are getting to the line in this half. They did not in the first half. And that may be the thing that can get them back in the game, because at this stage, you really don't want to foul. You want to play aggressively, but you don't want to put them on the line.
Midnight Eastern time, we have more basketball. This from the WAC. San Diego State and UTEP. UTEP off to a great 13-1 start. Don Haskins doing another tremendous job down there. 1-1. You spent some time out in the WAC last year, Terry.
Yeah, and I was very impressed not only with the coaching out there, but the caliber of play and the individual players. I was really, I look forward to those games.
Thomas Hill feeds Leitner. Odom's on his back. He turns around, leans away. It won't fall, and Dotton has the rebound. Terrell pulls back of the three-point line and bangs it in.
He knows where that three-point line is.
Terrell tried to strip Antonio Lang. Dotton was there as well.
Not a shooting foul, and of course you have to be impressed by the fact that UNCC just keeps hanging in there. They're not quitting. They're continuing to play their game. They're doing a good job right now. And it's a 15-point lead by Duke. They're going to have a tough time getting back in it the way Duke's playing, but you never know. Again, they could get hot. Jeff Mullins has done a good job. His youngsters have done a good job of not being intimidated by Duke's 20-point lead and continuing to fight to get back in the game.
That was just the 6th team foul on the 49ers. The next one will send Duke into the bonus. Grant Hill, mismatch on Terrell.
And again, Duke changing up who they're posting up, but Grant Hill, again, he's just so smooth down there. Great footwork, gets turned strong, and once he's got a mismatch, he's going to take advantage of it.
Terrell from the corner, won't go. The follow by Dotton, and Davis is called for the foul. You count the goal and add one if he can convert.
Well, Terrell said, come out and guard me, Grant Hill. He takes it outside, and Malrou Dotton, a great job of crashing the boards here. I don't know how he got a hand on it between two Duke players, and he gets the foul.
49ers, and at the line, Malrou Dotton, number 3, 1 shot.
Gets it back to 15.
They're just staying within striking distance because, you know, you hit a couple of three-pointers, you get it under double figures, and all of a sudden Duke has to start thinking about it a little bit.
Talk about crashing the boards, Terry. Dotton with 8 rebounds in this half alone and converts the three-point play. Hurley finds an opening. Bounce pass to Lang, reverses it.
Once Hurley gets in the lane, something good usually happens for Duke.
Foul away from the ball. Lang with a little hole.
Yeah, he's going to have to learn to use his body to deny the player coming across the lane. He's using his hands too much there.
Number 4 on Antonio Lang. It's also the 10th team foul, which could be important as they'll shoot 2 fouls the rest of the way with the 49ers.
Well, again, Duke did a great job in that first half of keeping UNCC off the free throw line. They only had 2 attempts, missed both of those, but they've had a bunch in this second half.
Of course, it's not going to help you get back in it when you send it off the back iron. And yet another look in the background for Malrou Dotton. Neither one of them will go.
That's tough because that's really just like a turnover, and you had a great chance at those.
Delano Johnson thought perhaps he had a steal there, but the ball will still belong to Duke. Bobby Hurley and the Duke Blue Devils off and running. Down the lane, and the conversion by Antonio Lang. 88-72. Back in a moment. Welcome back. You see some of the banners, the retired numbers. 43 of Mike Jaminski, Dick Grote, number 10, Art Heyman as well as Danny Ferry and Johnny Dawkins, and perhaps someday soon Christian Leitner will be among that group with his number 32 hanging. A tremendous career he has had.
He really has. He's going to be going to the free throw line here. He handles the ball full court against the press. I mean, what else do you want the guy to do? He's gone to the free throw line. He's gone inside. He shot a three-pointer today. He puts the ball on the floor. He handles it against the press. He is a great player, and he's definitely a candidate to have his jersey retired. There may be a couple of others on this floor that certainly Grant Hill has the potential to become a future star here at Duke. And Bobby Hurley, you know, usually there's scores jerseys hanging up here in the rafters, but a guy who sets the assist record and all that he's done and the record that the Duke has amassed under his leadership, you have to think that possibly he's got a chance as well.
We'll take a look at the all-time scoring leaders for Duke. Johnny Dawkins is there. This is starting the day, of course. Christian Laettner at number 8. He will soon move up, and we also saw Jeff Mullins on that list. They could have used him today, maybe a little bit of some of his shooting.
And Jeff was an excellent shooter. If they'd have had the three-point shot, he'd have been an even more effective scorer. And, of course, he only played for 3 years. Back then, freshmen were not eligible to play, so he would be way up that ladder if he only took 3-year scores.
Now Rudaten at the other end converting for the 49ers. Lobbed into Grant Hill. Johnson was on his back, gets the foul.
Well, Duke says if you're going to guard me with Delano Johnson, I'm going to put Grant Hill down in the post, and I'm going to try to get him to basketball.
Charlotte's number 24, Delano Johnson, his first personal foul.
UNC Charlotte had an 11-game winning streak coming into this game. I think perhaps some of their weaknesses exposed a little bit today, Terry, but just the same, I believe a legitimate number 18.
Absolutely. You know, the 2 great wins that everybody knows about against teams that were in the top 20, DePaul and Alabama, 2 excellent basketball teams. DePaul beating Georgetown today. But another win to go down to South Florida and be able to win, and particularly to be able to do it without Jarvis Lang, who was really the leading freshman scorer in the country last year. Just an outstanding player. If he were to come back, there's no telling what this team could do before the season's over.
Absolutely. Delano Johnson down the lane and high off the glass.
I was mentioning their win at South Florida. Both Iowa and Florida State went down there and couldn't get a win. UNCC went down and dominated the game and won.
Absolutely. Grant Hill so quickly.
Great play by Bobby Hurley, but when you've got a finisher like Grant Hill, obviously everybody loves to see that. It's exciting sitting here in the booth.
Just exploding to the hole. Lang comes away with a miss. Hurley around Williams. Just a little kiss on the glass.
And if you let up just a little bit, Duke is capable of taking advantage of you. Bobby Hurley, a good job end-to-end for the layup.
Timeout, UNC Charlotte.
Charlotte wants a timeout. It's getting away. They're down 20 with 2:22 to go. (96-76), 2:22 to go. UNC Charlotte. High hopes coming in here today. But this crowd and this team is taking them out of it. Bobby Hurley with 11 assists in the game, running the show as usual.
Duke tremendously effective at the offensive end of this second half. 18 of 27, 67%. It's tough to beat a team playing that well. And, of course, playing at home, Duke always has a little bit of an advantage with this crowd behind them. And these folks aren't leaving. Even though it's a 20-point lead, they're here for the excitement. They're going to stay till the end.
Broadhurst lobs it into Odom. Tries to take it strongly, but quickly Parks and Lang are there to take it away. Parks with the catch. 3-man conversion on him. With the follow.
Beautiful little bounce pass by Cherokee Parks, and then he's there to flush the rebound when the miss occurs.
Terrell with a three-pointer, 2-man right in his face, and he still lets it go. 24 Terrell.
Terrell is one of the best three-point shooters in the country. I think he was 7th coming into this game in the nation. Had 20 points in 20 minutes against Alabama.
Doughton with a nice job to help and swat it away from Lang.
But again, you saw the playmaking ability of Grant Hill. I mean, Duke actually puts him at the point guard spot and expects him to make plays, and he does.
Eric Meek, number 52, in for Duke, and number 4, Kenny Blakeney. Meek is an interesting story. Unfortunate accident this summer. He was hit by a drunk driver, and his hamstring was punctured by a piece of metal, and he had a long way to work back. Blakeney to 3, no good. Lang with the follow. Henry Williams just lets it fly, and Meek hauls down the rebound. Blakeney starts the break.
Well, you've got to appreciate Eric Meek being out there after what he's been through. Tremendous work it took to rehabilitate himself and to be able to play this season.
Lang fighting hard in there, gets fouled. We're under a minute now. Duke hits the century mark, 100-79.
UNCC wanted the technical. Cherokee Park grabbed the rim, suspended himself up there, and then threw the ball back down through. But they're not going to call a technical at this stage of the game, and it's probably not. It would have been basket interference.
Want to remind everybody, stick around. Gary Miller and Bill Patrick standing by. Sports Center, all the day's scores and highlights. College basketball, a couple of upsets around the country.
Well, Antonio with the banker. Let's see if he banks the second one, John.
Ron Bird is getting ready to check into the game. The crowd goes crazy. He was one of 38 people on October the 15th that just tried for a spot on this team as a walk-on. He had played on the intramural championship team for 2 straight years, and now he's out there wearing the Blue Devil uniform.
Playing for the #1 team in the country as a walk-on. That's got to be a great thrill.
Terrell, another three-pointer. Great game for Terrell. He has 23. Ron must score. That's what the crowd is yelling. Lobs it into Meek. Can't get it to go. Broadhurst tried to flip it back out. Blakeney comes away with it. No foul as Odom almost tripped him up. Blakeney then loses it. Everyone crashing to the floor. Duke basketball. 5 seconds to go.
Well, I'd say that this one has gone pretty much according to script, John. UNCC would have had to play a perfect basketball game to have a chance to pull off the win here. They did a good job. I'm impressed by their team, particularly Rodney Odom and Henry Williams. They've got a great inside-outside combination.
Well, the officials apparently aren't in a hurry to get out of here. Whistling the foul in the lane with 2 seconds to go.
No planes to catch. They know they can't get out with the crowd still here. Everybody's going to be heading to their cars at the same time, so they go ahead and call it like they see it.
Cherokee Parks will put what will probably be the final exclamation point on this big victory over number 18, UNC Charlotte. Duke has taken on all comers thus far this year.
Well, you have to start thinking about what it would be like to have an undefeated season, John. People are saying no one can do it today. No one can do what UCLA has done. But what Mike Krzyzewski and his Duke Blue Devils have done here is probably second only to John Wooden. 4 Final Fours in the last 4 years. That's tremendously impressive. I don't think anyone believes that it can be done. He's done it.
Ironically enough, Mike Krzyzewski has to go down and play UCLA. And he has to go to LSU and toughen the ACC, as you know all about. Can he go undefeated?
Well, the odds have to be against it, but certainly this is a basketball team that plays with a great deal of enthusiasm. They have a great deal of chemistry. They play well together. Mike has done a marvelous job of putting them together already. I'd have to say that they'll have a chance every time they take the floor. I would certainly not think that they would go undefeated.
Christian Laettner finishes with 24 points as Duke, number 1, knocks off number 18 UNC Charlotte 104-82. For Terry Holland and our entire ESPN crew, I'm John Saunders. Thanks for watching. So long from Durham, North Carolina. Stick around for more. SportsCenter's coming up a little bit later. But right now, let's return to Chris Fowler.
All right, John and Terry, thanks. That is the debate in college basketball. Can Duke go undefeated? Terry Holland waffling just a bit. We heard Bill Raftery in the studio Thursday also waffle. Jim Valvano says Duke will go undefeated the rest of the season. SportsCenter coming up in just a couple of minutes with Bill Patrick and Gary Miller. At midnight Eastern time, the WAC, UTEP, the first-place team in the conference. A surprise 13-1 start for the Miners. They take on San Diego State. Now, there's some games in progress. You heard the folks talk about UCLA taking on Duke down the line. Bruins trying to stay undefeated, but a sloppy first half at Pauley against Oregon State. After a steal, Mitchell Butler here, stripped by Charles McKinney. He gets it ahead to Chapman for the jumper. Beavers in control early on in this ball game. Then UCLA's Tracy Murray hands off to Gerald Matkins, intercepted by Oregon State. McKinney, the uncontested layup. Oregon State led by 9. Bruins finally wake up. Murray, the quick pass to Don McClain for the layup inside. But at halftime, Oregon State 36-34 over the undefeated and second-ranked Bruins. SportsCenter will update that score in a couple of minutes. Other Pac-10 games, USC clobbered Oregon 85-56. Harold Miner had 22 points and 8 rebounds. And a WAC score, New Mexico 3-0 in the conference, leading Hawaii 65-58 with 4 minutes to go in the second half of that ball game. Other top 25 games tonight. It's a busy day. 23 of the top 25 involved. Kansas goes at Colorado, where they lost last year. UConn against Miami, which just picked up its first Big East win over St. John's. More top 25 games. These are the games being played tonight. Georgia Tech has dominated Wake, 12-1 in the last 13. St. John's must bounce back, and one of the 4 unbeaten. Tulane, a tough test for the Posse out of Lubbock, Texas. Pitt at Syracuse. They already beat the Orangemen once this year. BC against a disappointing Seton Hall team. And Oklahoma at Kansas State. Oklahoma swept in that series last year. That will do it for college basketball. More at midnight Eastern time. But SportsCenter coming up next with Gary Miller and Bill Patrick from all of us here. So long.
ESPN's NCAA basketball is brought to you by Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. Proud sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team.